Welcome, dear readers. Never doubt that all is proceeding according to plan. In the very near future there are going to be events that will result in change and the awakening of many due to the information that will accompany them. At this time you are witnessing the personal and global surfacing of large amounts of false, dense, and obsolete energy that has long been present but unrecognized as such. There are a few who feel a sense of alignment and validation from these old energies, and rather than recognizing them for what they are and allowing them to clear, they act on them. This is why you are seeing an increase in violence and so many attempting to force old beliefs based in separation onto others. There are some individuals, religious leaders, churches, and organized groups that believe and teach they alone know the mind of God and are therefore the only ones qualified to teach the rightness or wrongness of everything. One of their favorite topics is sexuality. Usually, they themselves were taught that anything sensual is bad or sinful, and so when they themselves experience normal sexual feelings they react with attempts to judge, condemn, eliminate, tramp down, and resist them in everyone around them, often failing for themselves. It has been taught and continues to be taught from various sources that sexuality is bad, a sign of human weakness, a sin, and a depravity permissible only if blessed by legal contract. Oppositely, present times increasingly promote it as being the end-all of happiness. Both represent duality. Human sexuality is sacred because it is the material expression of the mystical marriage, the attainment of that state of consciousness in which masculine and feminine aspects of divine consciousness become one. Everyone experiences sexuality because everyone is divine consciousness individualized, but as with all of God's expressions, when interpreted through three-dimensional eyes it becomes a concept of the reality. Sexuality is a powerful and sacred energy but is often seen as nothing more than something for physical gratification, a duty, a way to get babies, power over another, a punishment, money, or a way to feel attractive, worthy, and lovable. It is the underlying intensity of sexual energy that causes so many long-lasting issues with victims of rape and sexual child abuse. Sexuality is used to sell clothing, cosmetics, and products of all sorts to both men and women, promoting the idea that if you use these products you will look sexy and then be loved and accepted. Beauty pageants and sexy clothing are promoted for young children as well as for adults. Many base their limited concepts of sexuality on the Old Testament of the Bible, forgetting that much of the Old Testament referred to the issues and states of awareness of those particular times. The Bible has been translated, interpreted, reinterpreted, and misinterpreted over time by many different individuals who, however pure their intent, could only work from the level of their attained state of consciousness. Concepts carried from earlier, less enlightened times are beginning to crumble as the high resonating energies of ascension replace them. Some who base their value and self-worth on their ability to live from rigid religious rules are lashing out, refusing to even consider that their foundation may have been built on sand. Your work is to remember and acknowledge that those causing chaos in the world are spiritual beings. When understood from a higher level, sexuality and its expressions will always include love and respect. Many believe and continue to promote the idea that sexual attraction is love. Sex, one of the pleasures of being in a physical body, is and never has been evil, sin, or wrong, but when seen only as a physical act with no real importance or repercussions, something to be used or misused for fun, it ceases to be what it really is. Because of the intensity of the sexual act, energetic connections are created between partners, cords that may be carried for a long time. Many are experiencing questions and feeling confusion with regard to sex and sexuality. In ancient times women were considered inferior property to be bought and sold and available to be used in any way, males considered superior, wanted. Many men as well as women still carry energy from these dark times in their sacral chakra, where it can manifest as detachment, lack of creativity, reproductive issues, fear, hatred of sex, addiction to sex, and more. These old energies are now clearing and may be temporarily re-experienced as they move through. Young ones just coming into their sexuality must be taught more than don't do it or get protection, etc. They need to be taught that feelings of sexuality are not evil or wrong, something to be avoided at all costs, or the opposite, something to be indulged in without thought. Because sexuality is a facet of everyone's spiritual nature, its expressions should reflect this through intelligent choice, consideration for the beliefs about sex of the partner, love and respect. Homosexuality and gender confusion are playing a large role in today's self-righteous political and religious conversations. Never forget that every person is first and foremost consciousness, and not a male or female material body. A material or physical vehicle is necessary when living and functioning in the dense three-dimensional energy of Earth, but your body is not now, never has been, and never becomes you. A person who has lived many lifetimes as one gender begins to resonate more fully with that particular gender. In the process of preparing for their next incarnation, they realize that they need to learn and experience the energy of the gender opposite of that with which they are so familiar in order to spiritually grow, and so they choose to incarnate as the unfamiliar gender. The density of third-dimensional energy prevents them from remembering this choice, and because he or she continues to resonate with the more dominant energy of their many lifetimes as one gender, they believe that something is physically wrong with them and begin various solutions for living as the gender they most closely resonate with. They are not to be condemned for this, but rather understood. They do not understand that they are consciousness and not just a material body, or that they specifically chose the form they find themselves in for spiritual learning. These dear ones often do not fully achieve the goals of their pre-birth choice, but will have taken the first steps toward it, and their next life will be much easier. As for those attracted to those of the same gender, it is the same. Many lifetimes lived as either male or female that result in being more closely aligned with the energies of one or the other. It is also frequently the case that when someone who has had a close relationship with another, as friend, family, partner, lover, etc., in many previous lives, meets that person in this lifetime, and there is the same loving connection regardless of gender. As Earth's collective consciousness becomes more enlightened, concepts based in separation, sin, evil, two powers, etc. will or must simply disappear, having nothing but the belief in them to create, maintain, and sustain them. Resist endowing the negativity of today's world with undeserved importance. Be an observer, ever aware that God alone is power.